Ronnetta, share with the people I'm sure marketing changed a lot when you took over the practice.
Internet or social media guru, Savanah knows that. It's a learning curve and I'm getting better with it.
Not every dentist is the dentist for every patient. And in the same breath, not every patient is the right patient for every dentist. Join Doctors Savanah Craig and Ronnetta Sartor as we navigate life beyond graduation. Real conversations about forging our own paths in our early years in our careers. There's a reason it's called practicing dentistry. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Graduation. I'm Savanah Craig.
And I'm Ronnetta Sartor.
So this week we thought we would talk about marketing and strategies with marketing. I will share my limited knowledge and Ronnetta can talk about marketing for the practice and maybe how building a brand and social media marketing and all of those things have really changed the game for everyone, but especially dentistry. I feel like dentistry took a little while maybe to catch up with the digital age of marketing, and then now people are really getting after it. So Ronnetta, share with the people I'm sure marketing changed a lot when you took over the practice, and then how things have progressed in the couple of years since you've been open.
Yes, I will start by saying by no means am I an internet or social media guru. Savanah knows that. It's a learning curve and I'm getting better with it. But prior to being a practice owner, I would take hiatuses from social media altogether, where I would just deactivate my social media pages. And so that's where I began. When I acquired the practice that I own, we pretty much, the previous owner didn't do any type of marketing or any of that stuff. I don't even know if there was a Google My Business page for them. So I pretty much started from scratch. And especially since I changed the name of it, so we had to, create a brand, think of a name, think of a logo. I had to do signage and all of those things, including create a website and start trying to do social media marketing. And so because I'm not a whiz at that sort of stuff, I hired someone to kind of help and do it, a team to hire that pretty much did it for me. At that time, pretty much it was getting people in the door because the doctor that I purchased the office from, he had slowed down significantly. And, this is a new business for me. So my goal was to try to ramp things up and ramp it up as efficiently as I could. So in the beginning, it meant, just getting the word out there that we even existed and that we were open and ready to see patients. Now, since I'm going into year 3 of practice ownership, strategies and that sort of thing has changed. So they always say the best type of marketing is internal marketing, having your patients of record being so satisfied with the work that you do and the service that you provide in an environment and culture that you provided in, that it pretty much being all the momentum you need for them to love you so much that they let all their friends and family know about you. And so it's transitioned a lot to that. But we live in a world of where if someone hears your name, the first thing they're going to do is Google it.
Yep.
Or your practice name. So it's also that side of it too. So rather than just trying to, get patients in a chair, I think we're transitioning now to, okay, this is the type of dentistry that we like to do. We have a more defined vision for what we do and where we want to go as a practice. So now we're transitioning more to, okay, this is our niche of patients that we want to see. And it's not to say that we don't welcome everyone. We do welcome everyone, but just kind of honing down.
Yeah.
So that, yeah.
Get to be a little more, I don't know that selective is the right word, but just have a more defined goal. And the thing we always talk about, like, not every dentist is the dentist for every patient. And in the same breath, not every patient is the right patient for every dentist.
That's well said.
Yeah, that's super interesting and exciting that you're now at a point where you get to sort of pivot those things. Because, so my mom is a hygienist, and sometimes she talks about where it's just a smaller space, smaller practice, and you can get so busy where you don't have room to see more new patients or more patients. And so you do end up having to be selective at a certain point if you don't have the capacity for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that that's more where this is heading for you? Is it a capacity issue, or is it just you finding like your passion and your niche?
I think it's more so me doing a whole lot of continuing education
Yeah,
and finding what brings me the most joy in terms of doing dentistry
sure.
and the procedures that I look forward to doing,
Yeah,
and trying to pivot to doing those things, or not or but and um if I see that, okay, we're having a lot of patients that are having this particular issue, okay, we need to create a space where we can address it for them.
sure. Very cool.
I know you say you have limited experience, um but I guess on the outside looking in, kind of what's been your experience with the marketing realm as it pertains to dentistry?
Yeah. So came into an existing system with the practices that I am working at. So my boss is hit, from what I can see and what he's told me, hits very heavy with like search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
We are in, if not the top, but one of the top things that come up when you Google anything dentistry is our practices. Obviously, I'm sure there's some sort of location specific thing, right? Where it's going to bring the practice closer to you to the top, would be my assumption. I don't know how Google works. But that 9 times out of 10, ask a patient, hey, what brings you in? I Googled dentists near me, and
Mm-hmm.
you guys came up. And because we're pretty big, there's a lot of doctors and a lot of operatories. I think we're able to capture new and emergency patients because 9 times out of 10, there's an opening on the schedule either same day or within that week. And so I think that helps us a lot to get patients through the door. The one thing you and I were talking about sort of off mic is your practice is fee for service. And so that's going to be a different patient population,
Mm-hmm.
where we accept most insurance, and are in network with. So that helps us a lot when those patients do call in, that's not necessarily a barrier
Mm-hmm.
for people, because a lot of people are looking for that in-network benefit, whether or not they realize what that actually means. But that's a podcast for another time. um we could and probably should do one about insurance and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, so we do a lot of marketing that way. We have Instagram pages for all of our practices. The newer one I've already been getting ads for just while I'm scrolling Instagram and Facebook. So obviously he's pushing some of those advertising ways. I know we do a lot of mailers,
Mm-hmm.
which was fascinating to me because I didn't think anybody still did that or looked at their mail.
Is there a certain patient population that you would say responds more to is there a certain age group?
Yeah, I would say it's more older patients, which is probably good because this is probably making a lot of assumptions and about age groups, but I would say they're probably not the ones catching the Instagram or social media ads necessarily or doing the Googling.
I was going to say, you'd be surprised because
Yes.
a lot of our patients that come in and say, "Oh yeah, I saw your ad on XYZ."
Yeah.
They saw it online.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's pretty interesting that we kind of live in a time where you can capture such a wide range of age groups and on social media, but also with those mailers and stuff too.
Yeah. And we'll do different like new patient specials if you're cash pay and there's like a discounted rate for that for like a new patient exam and x-rays. So I think that goes out in the mailers, so that helps. We've done a couple campaigns for mailers with like whitening for life.
Oh wow, that's nice.
And so from my understanding, if you have to bring the physical thing with you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get your whitening trays and the refills, the gel refills. I don't know, I think for free, and then you get the additional refills for a discount.
Okay, that's still pretty nice because everyone's wild about whitening their
Yeah.
teeth.
So I think that has been a big one, and then obviously it keeps people coming back in the door to get their refills. I should ask more about exactly what that looks like. I think it also would include at a certain point if you needed new whitening trays. I think that's part of the like for life
Yeah,
part of it.
like you mean like if you got a restoration done and the
Sure. Yeah,
existing one.
if yours
Okay.
don't fit anymore. I'm assuming it's not like if you just lost it, but who knows? Who knows? But I know the initial like impressions and your first set of trays and an initial couple of tubes of whatever the whitening stuff is included if you bring in that. And then our hope is you bring that in and you get your comp exam and your
All right. Do you guys have like I guess restrictions to it? Like you said, you have to get the comp exam
yeah.
and okay,
I
perfect.
I'm I've not seen anybody not do the whole shebang, and obviously we're going to explain,
Why
hey,
it's needed
yeah,
prior.
or hey, we need to get these other things under control before you can have your whitening.
Right.
But it gets people in the door, which is interesting, and then keeps people coming back. And we just put it in their chart as like a pop up that like you're a whitening for life patient, and
I like that idea. That's you know, people love a discount and like to feel incentivized for doing what they need to do. So it's a nice, okay, I finished all my dental work. Now I get to get my free whitening
right,
trays. So I like that a whole lot.
yeah. And I do think there is some sort of like time frame on the mailer too that like
Okay.
you couldn't bring a whitening for life coupon from 5 years ago. You know.
Understood.
So I think they watch the metrics, and if we need new patients or whatever, then we're going to start doing those different campaigns and things, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
And I think that's an important thing, like metrics when you're doing these sorts of things, like to make sure that what you're paying for, you're getting a good return on your investment.
Right.
And if you're not, how can you pivot? But it's like you said, listening to what the patients are asking for.
And I think it's interesting I do ask them, how did you hear about us? What brought you in? And I think that's good feedback to the office of what is and is not working and where to sort of put your resources and your money,
Mm-hmm.
because paying money for a trillion mailers and then you get like one patient, that's not
Right.
helpful.
Mm-hmm. I think to take it one step further when they come in and, if they say that, oh, I found you on social media or I saw an ad, I have started asking the question, what was it about what you saw that resonated with you?
Oh, I like that.
Because it lets us know what certain people value. So it tells us about them, but it also tells us about our values too. And, could it be that we make people more aware that this is what we value as a team.
Sort of like intention versus impact, and if what you're putting out there is having the impact that you want it to and reaching those people that you want it to.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
really interesting, because sometimes I'm sure we're putting things out there that are capturing or portraying to people differently than what we intend.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the one thing that I was kind of picky about when I started was on our websites, right? It tells you like services, and a lot of those things from different marketing companies are pretty just generic.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the stuff about sedation and IV sedation is really heavy on like sleep dentistry and I was like, no, because that's
Mm-hmm.
not what it is. That's not what I purport to patients. And so keeping an eye on those little subtle things that are accidentally attracting or
Misleading.
misleading is exactly
Mm-hmm.
the word. And then people come in upset that you don't provide this service that your website
Says you did.
right made it seem like you do. So that was interesting things to just look in, because you start talking to people and they're like, well, you say blah blah blah, and you're like, oh, I that would make me mad if I thought I was getting this thing and I'm not. So I can understand that.
What role do you think, having in creating your brand, whether it be your personal professional brand or an office brand, plays into capturing those patients?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I don't know how you would ever get these numbers, but to know how many people are actually Googling their doctors or looking at, I mean, we have bios on our website. I would imagine fewer people than I think are. They just make the appointment, they show up, they don't care. But then there are times where people are like, "Oh no, I looked you up," and you're like, "Oh my god, I don't know what did you find?" You hope it's the office website that comes up first. So sometimes I'll Google myself just to know what's out there. But I have had a couple of patients, very rarely, but who found my Ignite blogs, who maybe have found the Instagram page, the podcast, and that's cool and terrifying all at the same time. But I think it comes back to our constant conversation of like values and integrity, and I would like to think that anything I have said on this podcast or written in a blog is the same thing I would tell somebody in real life. Um, so just trying to keep all of that. You hate to be like, I'm a brand,
Right.
because I
Mm-hmm.
am also a person and a wife and all of these other things in addition to being a dentist. But in the age that we live in, all of that is also part of your brand.
All of the
So,
things. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so just trying to be authentic, I think is the right word, so that the brand they associate with me is me and not, I don't have to remember different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's more so staying true to who you are and
Yeah.
having all those things align. Who you as
Yes.
Savanah, the dentist, the Savanah, the wife, Savanah, the carefree blogger and podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is this weird balance of you're going to be different in all of these different situations and wear different hats, but at the core remaining who you are.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in our early podcast about our core values and those kind of remaining the same, if not transforming to make us better people to move forward. So I think it's a really good standpoint too. I think it's better too because like before, I know when I was younger, we had one dentist near where I grew up, so that's where we're going. We
Yeah.
didn't have to look online or anything like
Yeah.
that. But it's kind of cool that now our patients have the opportunity to choose us.
Yeah.
Um, Based on what they see. And I think that's why I like to ask the question, like what resonated with you? Because I'm just interested to know. And, you could use that to keep staying true to who you are and just as confirmation that what you're doing is reaching the people that it's meant to reach.
Absolutely. What, I mean, you have actually built the brand of the office. What did that look like? Because I sort of just fit in as a puzzle piece to an existing brand.
Um, and like I said, it's evolved. And
Sure.
I think part of it is like time went on and I learned more about myself as a leader, as a dentist, and learned more about, okay, what type of dentistry I want to do. Um, the marketing and everything kind of changed, but one of the things that have remained the same is my core values and my beliefs on how our patients should be treated.
Sure.
And not just treated in terms of like treatment, but treated from the first phone call
Yeah.
that they make all the way up to the experience that they have coming through the door. And I know there are lots of metrics out there. And I think for me, I know those metrics matter and reviews and things matter. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm providing quality service and care and experience for our patients above all else, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Google reviews, my arch nemesis. But, and there's also this balance of knowing that you did the best you could and provided the best level of care, and also it might not be enough or what people are looking for. It's all just so dynamic, and it's so difficult to capture because it is just human interactions and relationships. And I do think that's probably one of the most interesting things if you think back to those older dental practices where you were the only business, take it or leave it. Where are you going to go? Where now where now it is they want that personal relationship to feel like they know you. They want more, it's more like a concierge type of feel to what healthcare has become versus you want your tooth out today? Doesn't matter to me. And people want, at least I'm finding, more things in-house. We're becoming more, give it to me, everything right now as much as you can. And sometimes that's been an interesting practice builder too, of there are quite a few, which I get it, quite a few general dentists around us that don't pull teeth. I think pulling teeth is awesome. That's probably, I mean, I get like that sucks. I'm sorry you had to have your tooth pulled, but it's so satisfying to me. And so that's been a cool practice builder because patients know that I'll at least take a look, and if it is too complicated, I will send you out. But that's built that reputation too. So this is an ever evolving conversation, and we're just trying our best. So if y'all have marketing tips or patients, if you have strong feelings about what you're looking for in your dental office or their website, let us know. It's also interesting.
Yeah, we would definitely love to know. So, anyone that's out there, I mean, you don't have to be a dentist. You could just be a marketing guru or a customer, like Savanah said, or, a patient that, these are things that you're looking for. We'd love to know. So, please reach out to us. You can find me on Instagram at Dr._Sartor.
And me at Savanah Craig DDS. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond Graduation. If you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Connect with us on social media at Savanah Craig DDS and at Dr._Sartor. And remember, you are not alone on this journey.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Graduation, brought to you by Ignite DDS and Future Dentists. This episode was sponsored by Ignite DDS Coaching. We build self-determined futures. For more information, please reach out to the Ignite DDS team.